deep down inside, we have a song that needs to be sung, we have a painting that needs to be put up, and we've all got an art or a dance or something inside of us. It's just so amazing when you can let that spirit free. I first started skiing when I was 13, and from that point it got me involved in freestyle. And I did freestyle mogul skiing until I was about 21. And it was just out of circumstance that I moved away from competition and got into coaching. I coached for a few years, and it was while I was coaching that I had a bad fall, which left me paralyzed from the waist down. I was setting up the freestyle venue for the Canadian Championships, and we were on the air site, and some of my athletes were doing some training, and I decided to join them in the training. The jump was maybe about 15 feet tall and positioned about 50 feet back from the beginning of the landing hill. And as I started going down the in-run, I realized that it was feeling a bit faster than I thought it would. And as I came closer to the transition, intuitively I knew that it was a bad idea to go off this jump. It was too fast, and to do a front flip with that kind of speed off this type of jump was surely going to be a disaster. But I was 23, and it really came down to a battle of ego versus intuition, and ended up over-rotating the front and completely overshooting the landing hill. And I landed on my chest, and the doctors had seen that I dislocated my back, completely severed my spinal cord. To them, it was obvious that it was going to be a permanent paralysis was the outcome of the situation. The doctor came in, and how he broke the news to me was, and it's changed my life. He came in there and he says, "You know what, Josh? Before you know it, we're going to have you back in the mountains riding a sit ski with all your friends." So in my darkest hour, he gave me a little bit of hope. The first time back in the mountains, that was interesting for sure. When they brought me up the hill, I realized how little I knew. But once I started to pick it up and get the hang of it, and I had a really good teacher, it was almost like a light switch went. And everything that I knew about skiing before, about reading terrain, snow conditions, and finding my line and finding my way down the hill, it literally came back in one run. It's freedom to express myself, it's freedom to be creative, it's freedom of movement, right? Like, so often in my life and in my day, I struggle, but when I strap in, it's game on. I can just be. Skiing's provided me with a couple of really interesting opportunities. The idea of the backflip came really early after my accident. I didn't think it'd be that challenging, but the more that I learned about the sport of sit skiing and the challenges with equipment, the further that goal got away from me. And it wasn't until just recently that I started to trust my equipment a little bit more and find myself in positions where I could test it safely. And luckily enough, Whistler Blackcomb put up an airbag for me in their terrain park, and we would determine, takeoff, timing, the type of jump that we would need. And as I came closer, I realized, yeah, there was risk involved, but we all believed that it was possible. Most importantly, myself, I believed that it was possible to do it. And I found it was going to be the perfect opportunity for me to really test my intuition, test my ability to feel that and listen to that. Eventually, everything lined up. The universe presented itself. I felt good. The environment was good, and it was showtime. Time for me to dig deep and overcome some old fear. To finally be able to go upside down again on snow, everything disappeared for a brief moment. My sit ski disappeared, my disability disappeared, and I was just flying. think this life that we live and this world that we live in has just such a beautiful way of providing us challenges and opportunities to grow and expand. And when I broke my back, I looked at that as an opportunity to start afresh. And rather than feeling bad about what I'd lost, I suddenly started to embrace what I still had. And that was probably one of the more powerful lessons that presented itself. I think it's a choice people need to make, and it's a choice they have to make in their life.